Well, all of you know me. My name's Lauren, and this is my interpreter, Jazz. Some of you may know that I did my internship at Strong Memorial Hospital, which is in Rochester. The first picture is just the outside look of the hospital, and then 3 other pictures are different placements that we would go on at different appointments. One being women's health, Clinton crossings for different PT appointments, muscles, bones, and hand therapy, and then also the ER, which is in the hospital. How I found my mentor. I became first interested in medical interpreting from a video assessment we did in class. I thought it was interesting due to the fact that my family has so much medical history that it'd be a cool place to do my field period. After long hours of thinking, I cannot tell you how I got Nathan Herring's name. I don't know how I got your name. But I emailed him and I asked him if he'd be willing for me to do my field period with him. At that point, he was doing a lot of work with a medical student at the University of Rochester, so he accepted, and I did a month at Strong, just strictly observation. This is a great way to make connections with the daytime staff, the on-call staff, and other staff members that work at Strong. I learned a lot and I wanted more, and this is how I met Patty Gates. She is a certified interpreter and has been for 20 years with 20 years experience. She's worked freelance, BRS, and also has been working at the hospital for 4 years. Around 4 years now? Around 3, 4? I knew when we met that we would be a good fit. So in August, I emailed Nathan in hopes to get Patty's email. He talked to Patty and she said that it'd be okay if I got her email. So I contacted her with all my information about my internship and also additional information about myself. She agreed to consider the idea, but first wanted me to make sure the hospital was a good fit for me. So she wanted me to send videotapes of my work. So I sent her cold assessments of myself. I wanted her to see the real me, not just the practice rehearsed pieces that we do every day. And I was just overexcited about this opportunity. So for my hours, for 8 hours, meaning hands in the air, taking the lead on an appointment, with the support of a certified interpreter, I had 63 hours. For B work, which mostly consisted of debriefing after appointments, we would talk about content, language, spacing, everything about what happened in the appointment. And then for C hours, an example is observing a lecture for a medical student. Obviously, I would not stand up there and interpret that. Hardest lessons I've learned. Going back to when me and Patty first met, I was very overwhelmed with the idea that I would be able to interpret at a hospital. After I sent her my videos, we thought it was a good idea so we can meet and review them together. So I went to the hospital and I was very nervous and I didn't really know what to expect. She told me that after reviewing my assessment, she was unsure if my skill level was where it should be for a hospital. She didn't know how much hands-up work I would be doing based off the assessment that I sent to her. She reassured me that my skill level, my language, and all-around knowledge is where it should be right now. But being in a hospital, it's serious interpreting. It's not, it's people's lives. But she told me that she'd still be willing to be my mentor and work together, but still unsure how much solo work I'd be doing. This was one of the hardest moments for me, to take a deep breath and look inside myself and understand, I'm a senior interpreting major and it kind of just crushed me a little bit. But I took a deep breath and I said, challenge accepted. I promised Patty that I'd work my butt off to prove that I can do it. On to my second hardest lesson. One of my first appointments was in the emergency room. A small boy came into the ER because he had slipped and fell on ice on the way to the bus. He bumped his head and had to have 2 small stitches in the back of his head, which was fine, but this boy was autistic. He didn't like to be held down, and that's exactly what needed to be done to get the stitches. Mom was laying in bed with him and holding him close, and also helping the nurses hold him down. So with this being said, with Mom holding him, communication was dropped. Mom couldn't comfort him and he couldn't see her. She couldn't see him, and he was screaming and crying, and I just felt so much empathy for that child. And all of a sudden it hit me like a ton of bricks. All of a sudden the color dropped from my face, I started shaking, and I was having cold sweats. I almost passed out, so I politely excused myself from the room, and he just needed to sit. I think there was a mixture between the blood, feeling bad for both the mom and the child, and just having little to no exposure of it just overwhelmed me. But throughout my time at the hospital, I got more and more comfortable, and the passing out feeling kind of went away. Being at the hospital, you have to deal with death. This is something that I'll never get used to. Okay, having to interpret, having to be the role of an interpreter, but also realizing that you're human. Having time to process and decompress after appointment is what's needed to both be an interpreter and to be, you're human still too. Like on my last day, my last appointment, a family had come into the trauma. We got a pager from the hospital, we needed to go to trauma. So you don't know what to expect. And we walked into the room, and there was a man that had passed away and his grieving family around him. So we needed to interpret for the family, which is fine, but then you hear the story about the man who he was just mowing his lawn and he had a heart attack and just passed away. Things happen so fast, and being an interpreter, you need to be able to put your brave face on and just be able to handle the work. And then having a staff that you can talk to afterwards is just the most fortunate thing that you guys have there, I believe. Whew. Okay, last one. More crying. One of my hardest moments was when me and Patty were at lunch, and we were sitting at Mr. Shu's Pizzeria, and my internship was going in full force. I realized that I had only a couple more weeks until graduation, and I had a complete and utter breakdown. Patty and I were talking about plans after graduation, and I just started bawling. I didn't want to leave the hospital, I didn't want to leave CUCA, and I didn't want to leave the small bubble of my 3 interpreting students that I've grown up with forever. It was just too much for me, but Patty was willing to talk me down, and we both realized that there's no sense in fighting it, and just keep going with the changes. My best memories. Leaving an appointment and actually, I'll get to that. I'll get to the laughter. First, leaving an appointment and actually feeling like a real interpreter. Feeling like that everything that you studied, all the video recordings, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you do in class, it finally is for something. A feeling of success after you completed appointment and communication was clear and 2 people had understanding of what was going on is just the best feeling. Number 2, being recognized by the deaf community as an interpreter and not a student. Being told from a stranger that your signing is beautiful, natural, and clear, that you did a good job and you're going to make a great interpreter, it just fills your heart with happiness. You get a sense of, I can do this, I just did it, and what's next? And number 3, I got a sign made. This was given to me by Will, and I want to know if you want to come up and talk about it. So that's my sign name, and I'm sticking to it. I like it. It's got a story behind it, so I like it. The last best memory that I had is I got to witness a baby being born. With death, there's life, and I got to see that throughout my time at the hospital. When I first arrived at the hospital, there was a couple of deaths, and then I got to see this baby being born, and then my last day, someone died. It's a circle of life. In the picture is my friend Laurette and her baby Amarette. I met Laurette when she was at her doctor's visits while she was pregnant. I would interpret her appointments and we built a relationship together that way. She came to the hospital to deliver her baby and I was thrilled. I got to be there during her labor, help her, and even interpret a little bit for her family and friends. It was such a beautiful thing, having this experience and watching that baby being born for the first time. I've never experienced it, so I just burst into tears. It was very emotional, it was a beautiful experience, and it will stay with me forever. Not only was it a great experience, but I also have 2 new friends out of it. Laurette and I have stayed in touch, and I look forward to watching our baby girl grow. Advice for next year: find the right mentor. It's really important. We keep saying that. You're going to be spending a lot of time with this person, so meeting with them beforehand, bringing conversation up about interpreting, which is really important. Also finding the perfect placement. There's a lot of options out there. I know you feel like we're at QCA, there's limited options at QCA, but reach out and find the perfect placement because you're going to find what you love and then you should just do it. It's a full semester, so you better like it. Accept frustration and push through it. There's going to be bad days. There will be bad days. But it's your decision whether you want to continue having those bad days or if you want to just push right through. Be positive with every day. Every day is a new day. You can have a really sucky day the day before, but you can start fresh a new day. And good luck. Well, first I wanted to thank Dorothy and Sharon. They're not here, so I'll skip them. Brian, thank you for putting up with me and giving me the knowledge to be the best interpreter that I can be. I want to thank the strong staff for giving me this opportunity to come and learn from you. You've been such a great group of people, and I'll cherish the time that I got to spend with you guys. Will, thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone and making me sweat like an animal. And a special thanks to Patty for not only being my mentor, but also being my friend.